You've probably noticed small changes in her behavior. Her phone flipped over at dinner, new clothes she never asked your opinion on, or that vague, I'm out with friends explanation. At first, you brush it off. But here's the truth. What looks innocent is often the early stage of betrayal, and if you don't see it, you'll be blindsided when she's already halfway out the door. Today, I'm going to walk you through 12 innocent things women do that secretly mean she's cheating. And pay close attention to number 9. It's so subtle that almost every man misses it. Yet once you hear it, you'll never miss it again. Before we jump in, take one quick second, hit subscribe, smash the like button, and comment below with a simple yes if you've ever felt something was off in your relationship, or no if you've never noticed. Your answers help more men realize they're not alone in this. And trust me, once we break down these 12 signs, you'll never look at innocent behavior the same way again. Let's start with the first shift. And it all begins with something as small as how she handles her phone. Number 1, the phone flip. When a woman suddenly starts putting her phone face down, you might think it's nothing. Maybe she's being polite. Maybe she's just detoxing from technology. That's what she'll want you to believe. But here's the psychological truth. Flipping the phone is not about the phone at all. It's about building a wall between two worlds, the world you're in and the world she doesn't want you to see. Think back to how it used to be. She left her phone face up on the counter. Notifications lit up the screen and she didn't care. She'd even hand it to you and say, "Can you check who texted me?" That was normal. But now that screen is locked down like Fort Knox. Even a quick bathroom break and the phone goes face down. That's not presence. That's concealment. And here's the kicker. You ask about it and suddenly you're the problem. Why are you being paranoid? Can't I just focus on us without distractions? That's gaslighting 101. She's flipping her phone but making you feel like the one flipping out. So, what do? No, don't snatch her phone. Don't turn detective. That only fuels her story that you're insecure. Instead, notice the pattern. Consistency is the tell. If she used to be open and now secrecy is the default, you've got your answer. Pay attention not just to the phone, but to how she reacts when you ask. Defensiveness is often louder than the silence of a black screen, because when a woman hides her screen, she's hiding more than text messages. She's hiding the part of her life where someone else just made her heart skip a beat. And if you think this is just about technology, think again. And when the phone flips, the body soon follows. Number 2, sudden self-improvement. Out of nowhere, she's hitting the gym again. New outfits, new makeup routine, even her hair looks freshly styled. And she'll frame it as self-care, as finally focusing on me. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Women don't invest this much energy in transformation without an audience. The question is, who is she dressing for? When it's genuine self-care, you'll be part of the process. She'll ask for your opinion on outfits, invite you to join her at the gym, or laugh about how sore she feels after a workout. That's inclusion. But when the door starts closing, she gets ready in secret, locks the bathroom door, puts on perfume for a quick errand, and won't tell you where. Then it's not about health. It's about presentation for someone else. Here's the psychology. When a woman feels seen by another man, she subconsciously starts rebranding herself. New clothes, new body language, new glow. And if you think it's just about wanting to feel attractive again, pay attention to one thing. Does she want to share that new glow with you, or does she hide it from you? That's the dividing line. Now, what should you do? Don't shower her with compliments out of panic. That only feeds the ego boost she's getting elsewhere. Instead, observe quietly. Ask yourself, am I being included or am I being excluded? That question alone will give you more clarity than begging her for answers, because sudden self-improvement isn't always innocent. Sometimes it's a runway show, and you're not the audience anymore. Because when looks start changing, the next thing to shift is emotional connection. Number 3, the emotional wall. She used to come home and unload everything. Her frustrations at work, the argument with her sister, even the little victories that made her smile. You weren't just her partner, you were her sounding board, her safe space. And now all you get is, "I'm fine." 2 words that should rattle any man awake. Here's what most men miss. This silence isn't independence. It's redirection. When a woman stops processing her emotions with you, it's because she's processing them with someone else. And emotional intimacy is often more powerful than physical intimacy. Sharing dreams, fears, and insecurities builds a bond deeper than sex ever could. If she's giving that bond to another man, you're not just losing her words, you're losing her heart. From her side, it feels like protecting the new connection. She doesn't want to pollute it by talking about you. So she walls you off, keeps conversations shallow, and tells herself she's just being private. But what she's really doing is reserving her vulnerability for someone else. So what's the move? Don't interrogate. Don't beg her to open up. That only drives the wall higher. Instead, make space. Give her the chance to share by asking calm, open-ended questions like, "What's been on your mind lately?" If she consistently dodges, take note. Consistency matters more than excuses. The truth is harsh. When she says nothing, that silence is filled by someone else. And the man who ignores, that shift is the man who wakes up one day next to a stranger. And when her emotions move elsewhere, her schedule starts to change too. Number 4, schedule mysteries. She used to tell you everything. Who she was meeting, what project she was working on, what time she'd be back. Her calendar was practically shared with you. Now it's vague. I'm working late. I'm grabbing drinks with some people. No names, no details, no timeline. That's not just being busy. That's creating shadows. Here's the psychology. Vagueness is a shield. It gives her plausible deniability. If you ask who exactly she was with, she can toss out a half answer. Oh, just coworkers. Without technically lying, it's a game of smoke and mirrors. The less details she gives, the harder it is for you to challenge her story. And when you press for clarity, suddenly you're the bad guy. Why are you interrogating me? Don't you trust me? That's the flip. Turning your valid concern into controlling behavior. This isn't about you not trusting her. It's about her not being transparent, but she'll never admit that. Instead, she'll frame you as insecure for asking questions she no longer wants to answer. So, what do? Stop chasing every missing detail. Instead, look for consistency. Does the timeline of her stories match her actions? Do her explanations shift depending on the day? The truth always leaks out in the gaps. Don't get caught in the trap of debating her words. Watch her patterns because a schedule full of mystery time isn't innocent. It's preparation for a double life. And if you're not careful, those gaps in her calendar will turn into gaps in your relationship. And once her time becomes vague, intimacy itself starts to shift. Number 5, the intimacy shift. Physical connection used to feel natural. Touches, kisses, moments in bed that flowed without effort. Now something's off. She either pulls away completely, avoiding touch like it burns her, or she suddenly becomes overly sexual, almost performative, like she's trying to prove something. Both extremes are dangerous and both point to the same root: guilt. Here's what most men don't realize. For some women, every kiss with you now feels like a lie because her heart belongs elsewhere. That's why she recoils. For others, the guilt flips the other way. She'll turn up the passion, throw herself at you, hoping the physical intensity can erase the emotional betrayal. But you can feel it, can't you? It's not love, it's compensation. And compensation always feels forced. This is where men usually get trapped. If she withdraws, you panic and chase. If she overcompensates, you convince yourself she must still love you. Either way, you're ignoring the real signal, the energy behind her intimacy. Authentic intimacy flows. Performed intimacy feels like theater, and you're not the leading man. You're the cover story. So, what should you do? Don't take the bait. If she's distant, note it. If she's suddenly too intense, note that too. Don't let her emotional turbulence turn you into the fool who thinks intensity equals loyalty. Real intimacy is consistent, not erratic, because when her body starts telling two different stories, it's not about desire anymore. It's about managing guilt. And the man who confuses guilt for love is already halfway replaced. And if her touch feels different, listen closely to her words, because they'll change next. Number 6, new vocabulary. You know the way couples build their own little dictionary over time? Shared jokes, phrases only you two understand, a rhythm in the way you talk to each other. That's what intimacy sounds like. But then suddenly, she starts using words that don't fit. A new slang term, a catchphrase, a reference to a movie you never watched together. At first, it feels random, but nothing in language is random. Psychology calls it linguistic mirroring. When we spend intimate time with someone, we unconsciously absorb their speech patterns. Their jokes become our jokes. Their way of describing the world starts slipping into our sentences. So when her language changes, it's not about TikTok trends or some coworker at lunch. It's about who she's actually bonding with on a deeper level. And here's the twist. If you call her on it, she'll shrug it off. Oh, I must have heard it online. Or someone at work says that all the time. That's the cover. Because to admit where she really picked it up would expose who she's mirroring, and she won't do that. So, how do you respond? Don't play the guessing game about what word came from who. Instead, pay attention to the pattern. Is her language drifting consistently away from what you two built together? Is she speaking more like someone else than like herself? That's your clue, because language is a window into the inner world. And when the words change, it's not the dictionary that's shifting, it's the heart. But when her words shift, so does her tone. Defensiveness takes over. Number 7, defensive mode. You ask a simple question, how was your day? And suddenly, she bites back. Why are you interrogating me? You mentioned she seems different lately. And she snaps, you're always criticizing me. The pattern is clear. Every normal question now feels like a landmine. That's not coincidence. That's guilt talking. Here's the psychology. When someone is hiding something, they project. Her mind is so occupied with what she's covering up that even harmless curiosity feels like suspicion. Your concern becomes control. Your observation becomes criticism. Your need for connection becomes an accusation. This is projection 10 out of 1. She takes the guilt in her head and paints it onto you. And this is where men get trapped. You start doubting yourself. You wonder, am I being too paranoid? Too controlling? No, you're being gaslighted. She's flipping the script. So, you stop asking questions. So, you stop noticing changes so she can keep the double life intact. So, what do? You don't argue your innocence. That's a losing game. Instead, watch the consistency. If every gentle question is met with hostility, that's your answer. A woman in integrity won't punish you for caring, but a woman hiding something will turn your care into a weapon against you. Because the angrier she gets at small questions, the bigger the secret behind them. And if you keep ignoring that shift, you'll lose yourself in the endless trial of proving you're not paranoid. And when she's always on defense, notice who she's suddenly spending time with. Number 8, the friend circle shift. All of a sudden, she's got new friends, names you've never heard before, coworkers, gym buddies, people from her yoga class, and strangely, you're never invited to meet them. Not once. Think about it. In a healthy relationship, social circles blend. You know her friends, she knows yours. If she's creating a new world you can't enter, it's not just about friendships. It's about rewriting her identity without you in the picture. Here's the psychology. When women cheat or prepare to, they often build a separate social ecosystem. Why? Because they need a cover story. These new friends become witnesses to her other life. They might know her as single or unhappy or misunderstood. They're there to reinforce the narrative she's selling, not the reality you're living. And that's why you'll never be introduced. If you walked into that world, you'd see the cracks in the story instantly. So what do? Pay attention not just to who she mentions, but to the pattern of exclusion. If every other friend in her past was open to you, but these new names come with locked doors, that's not coincidence, that's design. Don't beg to meet them. It'll only fuel her defense. Just note the separation. When a woman truly values you, she wants the people around her to know who you are. If she's hiding you from them, it's because she's hiding them from you. Because separate friend circles don't just happen. They're built with intention. And once that new social circle takes root, the next betrayal slips out, not from her friends, but from her own subconscious. And once her social circle shuts you out, her subconscious starts revealing the truth. Number 9, the subconscious slip. Language doesn't lie. She used to talk in we should plan a trip. We need to start saving. We should look at houses. That's the sound of a shared future. But now listen closely. Those pronouns have shifted. I want to travel. I need to figure out my finances. I'm thinking about moving. The word we has quietly died. And you didn't even get a funeral notice. Here's the psychology. Before the body cheats, the mind rehearses. When a woman starts detaching emotionally, her subconscious removes you from her sentences long before she admits it out loud. This isn't conscious lying. It's unconscious truth. Her heart is already preparing for life without you, even if her lips haven't said, "I'm leaving." And the pain here is sharp because it's subtle. You want to tell yourself she's just being independent, but independence still says we when the bond is intact. Independence shares the dream even if the work is individual. Exclusion is different. It's the mind practicing separation. So, what can you do? Pay attention to the language of tomorrow. Don't get stuck only on what she's doing today. Listen to how she talks about the future. If you're absent from her vision, you're already absent from her plan. And that's your cue, not to beg, not to force your way back into her sentences, but to recognize reality before you waste years trying to fix what she already mentally left. Because the shift from we to I isn't grammar, it's goodbye. And once we dies, the future plans fade too. Number 10, the future fade. Remember when she used to be the one pulling out travel brochures, sending you Zillow links, or texting you about where to go for date night. That's not just planning, it's emotional investment. When someone sees a future with you, they build it piece by piece, in conversation, in suggestions, in shared excitement. But when those plans disappear, so does your place in her tomorrow. Here's the psychology. Making future plans requires hope. It requires her to believe that you'll still be standing beside her when that moment arrives. But when her heart is drifting, planning feels dishonest. Why promise vacations, houses, or even next weekend if she isn't sure she wants you in the picture? That's why her suggestions dry up. She's not just avoiding logistics. She's avoiding commitment. And here's where many men fool themselves. She says, "I don't know, I'm just tired." Or, "Let's just play it by ear." You think she's stressed, overworked, maybe even just needing rest. But pay attention. Does she ever bring up tomorrow? Because tired people still dream. Checked out people don't. So, what do you do? Stop mistaking vagueness for exhaustion. If she no longer initiates plans and every attempt you make is met with indifference, you're not dealing with stress, you're dealing with detachment. That silence about the future is her way of pulling you out of it. Because when a woman stops building tomorrow with you, she's already building it with someone else or alone. Either way, you're no longer in the blueprint. And when tomorrow disappears, today suddenly feels too sweet because guilt kicks in. Number 11, the guilt gifts. Out of nowhere, she's suddenly the most thoughtful partner you've ever had. Your favorite dinner shows up on the table. She buys you clothes, surprises you with gifts, or goes out of her way to agree to things she used to resist. On the surface, it looks like love, but underneath, it's guilt dressed as generosity. Here's the psychology. When we do something wrong, the mind scrambles to balance the scales. For women hiding an affair, emotional or physical, this often shows up as overcompensation. Every sweet gesture is her way of quieting her conscience. The problem is, guilt-driven affection doesn't feel the same. You can sense it. It feels performative, like she's checking a box, not pouring from her heart. This is where men get confused. You think maybe she's realizing how much I mean to her, but the truth is harsher. She's not seeing your value more. She's seeing her betrayal more and trying to cover it. Love moves toward connection. Guilt tries to erase disconnection and the differences in the energy. Real affection feels natural. Guilt, gifts feel like theater. So what do? Don't get blinded by the shiny wrapping. Instead, check the consistency. If the gifts are going up but the intimacy, honesty, and openness are going down, you already know what's happening. You don't need another sweater. You need the truth. Because when kindness suddenly skyrockets while connection plummets, it's not appreciation. It's atonement. And a relationship built on guilt is already on life support. And when guilt no longer works, exhaustion takes over. Number 12, the energy drain. She looks tired when she's with you, not just from work or life stress, but specifically tired of being with you. Conversations drag. Her responses are delayed, distracted. Intimacy feels like effort, not desire. And when you finally make plans without her, she seems relieved. That's not normal fatigue. That's the exhaustion of living a double life. Here's the psychology. Managing two emotional worlds is draining. Keeping stories straight, hiding feelings, pretending to be present when her heart is elsewhere. It burns through her energy before she ever comes home. By the time she sits across from you, she's already given her laughter, her attention, her spark to someone else. What's left is the hollow, tired version, and you feel it every time. This is the cruel paradox. The man she's betraying is the man who gets her scraps. You're fed the small talk while someone else feasts on her raw joy. That's why she seems more alive when she's busy and more dead when she's next to you. You're not imagining it. You're witnessing the truth her body can't hide. So what do? Don't mistake this for midlife burnout. Don't tell yourself she's just stressed. Ask the harder question. Why does she give her best away and leave me the leftovers? If you don't confront that, you'll keep accepting crumbs while someone else enjoys the banquet, because energy doesn't lie. When her presence drains you instead of filling you, the betrayal is already complete. Because if she's drained with you, it's because she's alive with someone else. Now you've seen them all. The 12 innocent-looking things that aren't innocent at all. A flipped phone, a new wardrobe, silence where words used to be, vague schedules, intimacy that feels off, language that doesn't belong to you, defensiveness, secret friend circles, the death of we, the fading of tomorrow, the guilt-wrapped gifts, and finally, the exhaustion that drains the life out of your connection. On their own, maybe they look small, but stacked together, they tell a story you can't afford to ignore. This isn't about turning you into a paranoid man second-guessing every move she makes. That's not strength. That's weakness disguised as vigilance. What I want for you is clarity, awareness. Because when you see clearly, you stop making excuses. You stop accepting behaviors that eat away at your dignity. And you start protecting the one thing that matters most, your peace. Here's the brutal truth. A woman who truly loves you doesn't just avoid cheating. She avoids even the appearance of cheating. She guards the relationship because she values it. If you're seeing these patterns, she's already checked out emotionally, if not physically. And if that's the case, the worst thing you can do is keep waiting for her to come back. You don't need closure from someone who's already gone. You need courage to choose yourself, to walk away from what's draining you, to reclaim the energy, the confidence, the life that's rightfully yours. So don't sit in silence hoping the signs will fade. Don't gaslight yourself into thinking you're imagining it. Trust what you see and act on it. If this spoke to you, hit subscribe. Leave a comment with what resonated most. Share this video with a man who needs to hear it before it's too late. Because in the end, you don't win by catching her cheating. You win by refusing to be someone's backup plan. Don't wait for closure from someone already gone. Choose yourself before she chooses someone else.